Stay tuned. The show is about to begin.
I see you. 1 second. Let me just broadcast to the world. And let me jump on stage.
Stay tuned. The show is about to begin.
Hey. Now if I can turn on my video. We're going to go sideways. Okay. Oh, let me shut this guy off. Hello, everyone. Let me fix our fortune cookie here. And a fortune cookie. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Paul Vato Presents. Let's turn it off and show a great
Thank you.
You better, Maddie, you better get used to applause if you're going to do the acting and the comedy and the whatnot.
I know.
Which you already get plenty of accolades from your social media and whatnot. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, folks, welcome to Paul Vato Presents. And today, my guest is Maddie Jackson, who is very deceiving because this young lady speaks perfect Spanish.
Surprising.
Maybe we should introduce you and let people know who you are, what you do. You're also have an amazing social media presence, especially on TikTok. So folks, make sure that you follow Maddie across her social media. If you're here live with us on Fireside, just go into the fortune cookie and you will see the links to her social media, to Instagram, TikTok, and also to mine at paulvato.com. But Maddie, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself? And again, thank you for being here.
Sure. Thanks for having me again. So hi, my name is Maddie. I would say, a content creator would probably be my best title for myself. I would say the majority of my stuff is on TikTok, as you mentioned before. I make a lot of content regarding things like language learning and cultural differences and things like that. And it all kind of started when I was living abroad in Spain. So quick intro, but right now I'm back in Southern California, which is where I was born and raised. And yeah, just keep going with that TikTok and been expanding a little bit on other social media as well. But it's been a really interesting and fun year.
Amazing. I almost made the mistake of, I was trying to be witty, of course, and in the cover art for our podcast, I put creadora de, and I almost put
De contenido. I saw that.
I almost put creadora de contento, and I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right.
Creator of contentness.
Creator of contentness. So it does
that
work.
Could work too.
But that's very
grammatically a little iffy, but definitely the idea is there.
Creator of content. You know what? It worked either way. I love language, and I'm in the middle of trying to learn Italian and a little bit of Portuguese, and I speak a tiny bit of Russian. But obviously, maybe not obviously, but my father was from Mexico, my mom from Texas, of Mexican parents. So I grew up speaking Spanish. If we wanted money or anything from my dad, we would have to speak to him in Spanish. Not realizing that the guy actually spoke English until I heard him get in a fight once and uttered the most profane things in English. I was like, oh my God, this guy speaks English. And for all these years, I've been sitting on the phone talking to my friends, talking about the horrible things that we just did last night and what we're going to do tonight. And he just would sit there and talk,
Oh no.
just watching boxing, and not me realizing that he spoke English. So
That's a good one. I think for me, it's the opposite. If I'm trying to talk about things that I don't want them to know about, I just switch to Spanish and that's my out. But I don't know, they might be catching up with me soon, so I might not have my out for very long either.
is it true that you were adopted by Mexican parents? That's why you speak Spanish?
Who knows? Who knows? Actually, my accent's not very Mexican. It'd probably be better to say like Spanish people or something. But no, I'm the a family of gringuitos. Hecho y
Gringuito.
derecho. That's it.
What is it? Hecho?
Hecho y derecho. That's like, I don't know what the translation would be. Like born and raised.
Born and raised. Hecho y derecho. It's so much nicer. I think sometimes we as Mexicans are so vulgar because there's also the saying "del corazón al huevo," which obviously wouldn't apply to you, but sometimes you're just like,
No.
oh, you kind of cringe a little bit. But I think there's such beauty in the language and in the slang that I'm sure the different Latin American countries have, because
Yeah.
growing up in the U.S., I think we're all exposed to Mexican American culture or Chicano culture, especially you growing up in
Hmm.
Southern California, being born in Southern
Yeah.
California and being raised here. But for somebody like me from Chicago, where we don't got an accent, JK, I call myself a Chicano from Chicago.
That's pretty good.
Thank
That's
you.
interesting.
That's a compliment coming from someone who has such a great grasp of the language. So maybe tell me, how did you wait? Well, does your family speak Spanish?
No, not a lick. Nothing. Which is interesting because you could imagine the strange situations I run into when I go to Mexico with them and they're all like, okay, what are, it's tourists. And then I come up, I'm like, hola, ¿me puedes poner un taco, por favor, con chile, no sé qué, no sé qué. And everyone's like, wait. What are you doing with these people? And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's a long story. So
Me,
yeah, only one. They're
me
learning, but
secuestraron.
a little bit slowly.
They kidnapped me.
I know.
And you speak it so well and so fast. And I hope that these compliments are coming across in the right way, because I intend them to be right, not like, oh my God. Because obviously, anyone can learn Spanish, but you
Yeah.
have a definite passion for it, not just the language, but
Hmm.
the culture, and not just
Hmm.
Mexico, but I think all of Latin America, and even for the conquistadors,
The
for the
little
Spanish.
colonizers over there. Yeah, for sure.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, the colonizers.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
and you spent time in with the colonizers in beautiful. I'm
In
guessing
beautiful
Andalusia.
España, Dio. Yes. So a little bit of backstory about why the heck am I like this? So I don't know, it's really random. When I was in high school, you have to choose a language to learn. And I really, like, ironically enough, I really wanted to learn French, which is funny now that I'm here now. My mom told me, heck no, what are you going to use French for in California? Like, you're silly. And so I started taking Spanish and I was like, wait, this is actually kind of cool. And I didn't really care too much about it my first year or two. But then I discovered this radio station in SoCal called La Mega 96.3. I don't know if you've ever heard of La Mega. It is a Mexican radio station, and they're in downtown LA, like super LA, and they play banda, reggaeton, flamenco, like literally every genre of Spanish music they play on this radio station. And I randomly one day, like accidentally came upon this radio station. I was like, this music kind of hitting, it's kind of good. So I started listening to it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And because I do music and art and all that stuff, it just kind of went hand in hand and it sparked this like thing in me that suddenly I was really interested in Hispanic music and Hispanic culture. And then I wanted to know, what are they saying in these songs? And so from there, I started paying a little bit more attention. And then it just kind of skyrocketed from there. Took Spanish all of high school, and by the time I finished, I was like probably 80, 70% fluent. Still needed a little bit more. And on my way to my college orientation, I went to San Diego State University. I literally changed my major on the way there to Spanish. So I was like, I know I'm going to do something with this. I care so much about this topic, these people. It's like my passion. It's the only class I care about in school right now. So I'm just going to do that and figure out what happens. And so, long story short, part of that was going to Spain because for my degree, I was required to live abroad for a bit. So I did that. I went to Sevilla, which is in the south of Spain. I don't know if you know much about Spain or how the people are there, but Sevilla is like the origin of Latino culture because when Spaniards first came to South America, majority of them came from the south of Spain. So the accent there is the kind of accent where you don't pronounce anything and you have the weird, you don't say your S's thing and all those different aspects of their culture in there. And I would say they're the most probably Latino part of Spain other than Canarias. So I really identified a lot with my time there and I had a really awesome time. And then I got kicked out because of the pandemic. And so I was shipped back to the US, middle of my time studying there, which was very devastating. And I knew I wanted to go back. So then I actually went back for another year to teach English. And at that time, I was in Madrid. So lived in Spain twice. I've traveled a lot all over Latin America. I've been to Chile and Mexico and Cuba and a couple other places. So I really love culture and, as you can see, language and all that. So that's kind of what inspired what happened with this, content creation thing and all of that. So that is kind of my backstory with that.
Amazing. I fell in love with Sevilla. And they
Oh,
say, and you probably know this, conocer Sevilla es conocer la maravilla.
they say Sevilla tiene un color especial. It's just, I love it. Actually, I have a tattoo here about a famous poet from Sevilla. I
Oh,
love Sevilla, literally.
what does your tattoo say, if you don't mind sharing?
It says Poesía eres tú, and it's a line from Gustavo Adolfo Bécquer, who was a famous poet from Spain, and he was born in Sevilla and died in Madrid. So he is like everything to me. I did like my thesis on him in college. Long story, but I love Sevilla. Literally the best place
Um,
in the world.
I have goosebumps just thinking about it because I've been there twice. Back probably before you were born. No, back in the 1900s, and that was the first time I went, like 97, 98, and then um, 2017. No, that was Cuba. 2014 maybe, and
Mm,
I still I always said to myself, if I'm going to move away from the U.S., I would probably go to Seville because it
I say the
is
same thing.
really,
Same thing.
um,
It's way
it.
cheaper there too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess now I did notice a difference in the way Americans are treated now than what we were back in the 1900s, and I think it had a lot to do
Interesting.
with 9/11 and maybe us getting Spain involved in a war that maybe we shouldn't have even been in. I don't know, but
Maybe.
it's still Seville to me will always have a piece of my heart, and I just think it's
Yeah.
wonderful. And then I've actually used that line. What did you say? Sevilla tiene un color.
Tiene un color especial. It's from a really famous song from Sevilla that they sing in the feria and everything. It's super popular.
And I agree because I don't think I knew about that, but I saw it on because I used it on one of my Instagram posts on one of my reels, and
Mm,
like it's so appropriate because there is this special color to Seville, the beauty of Seville.
it is the best in the whole world. Like I would move there tomorrow if I could. It is so beautiful.
As would I, and we just have to become digital. Was it nomads
Digital
and go
nomad. They have a
there?
new visa there. I know. I'm like, oh, maybe I should.
I
Yeah.
think so. I think so, and I think it would just suit you wonderfully. What about? Do you like tapas?
Love tapas. Oh my God. I was actually thinking I need to start cooking more tapas. Yeah, croquetas de jamón. Tortilla. Un
Which,
vinito, tortilla, tapitas. The whole table costs like 15 euro. Ugh, what I would give.
wow, I guess that is a lot cheaper than the U.S.
So
Because
much.
here, the U.S. Tapas is basically smaller portions charged at regular price. Is my Spanish friends are doing at their tapas.
Gentrified tapas, I know. It's
Gentrified tapas.
unfortunate, especially in SoCal. We don't have any good Spanish food. It makes me sad.
No, if you ask for Spanish food, they'll point you to some Mexican restaurant or Taco Bell.
Yeah,
Well, speaking of Mexico and Spain, and you mentioned tortilla. That's the other thing too. There are words that might be the same but mean different things because, or
maybe.
torta, or things like that in
Yeah.
Spain means something else. I
Hmm.
saw one of your videos where you were coming up with and they're all words for a straw, a drinking straw, papote,
Yeah.
pipote, for palomitas, which that's what I call them, palomitas. I was trying to think what kite was, and I can't remember volador, or I forget what
Probeta, I
you.
think is the main one, but every country has a different word for that. Straw, God, there's so many words. Oh, like how to say what's up is super different in every country. So imagine learning it from scratch and having to choose one. That's my kind of problem because I speak like 12 dialects at once at all times. Um, so it's definitely tricky.
Amazing, amazing. Speaking of dialects, and I hope I'm not getting too personal here, and if I am, please stop me. You claim to be born in Southern California to an all gringo or gringa family,
Yes.
an all white family. Uh, but I detect, because I have a very keen ear for these things, I detect
Yeah.
an accent. Are you indeed maybe a Russian spy or German spy? What's going on?
Cannot share. No, actually, people say that a lot, and it really tripped me out. When that happened, it was actually way worse when I had just moved back from Spain. I think what happens is outside of like my job, my 9 to 5, I don't really speak English that much because literally all of my friends here are not from the US. Basically everyone in my life, other than my family, does not speak English. So I have this weird thing that happens if I'm
Spanish.
like switching too much between them or I don't know, just not hearing English pronounced well, you kind of like want to mimic the people around you. So it was never like a conscious choice to like, I'm not trying to be Hilaria Baldwin kind of faking my foreignness. But people have said that to me and I'm like, no, I swear to God, I wish I could talk like a normal person because it is actually embarrassing when someone asks me in public, like, oh, are you foreign? I'm like, funny you ask. No, I'm just stupid. But it is it's a phenomenon that happens a lot to people when they are surrounded. It's called mirroring, psychological thing that people do. I don't know if you've ever like talked to a British person and you feel like you really want to start talking in a British accent. Same thing. So you want to have the people around you understand you the best. So without thinking, we tend to kind of mimic the intonation or the words or the sentence structure of the people around us just to kind of like fit in a little bit more. So I think that's what's happening. Honestly not sure. It's sometimes the worst, but I don't hear it in myself. So it's really funny you mentioned that.
And I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. But I could see that where people are like, "Where are you from?" And you're like, "Southern California." They're like, "No, no, but
I'm literally born here. What do you mean?
where are you from? From like now where?" And I know I'm guessing your parents are also from California, but what is your culture, your
Yeah,
background, or
all
where were their parents or
Californians.
great grandparents born?
Surfer culture. Great grandparent. Honestly, I another thing that has fueled a lot my interest, I think, in Hispanic culture is I didn't really grow up, I would say, with a strong connection to like any particular heritage of mine. So, like, technically, I imagine that I'm German and I think Irish, British, maybe. I mean, no surprise. Um, by lineage, obviously, I'm a born and raised American, but I think growing up in Southern California, there's so much Hispanic culture that even if you're not Hispanic, you participate in. Like every year at Christmas, we eat Mexican food. Like every year on Easter, we eat Mexican food. All my friends in high school, I knew some people had quinceañeras and the whole, lots of friends growing up that were Hispanic. So for me, you drive everywhere, all the signs are in English and then Spanish. All of the city names are in Spanish. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like if you're from Texas and California, there's that automatic Hispanicness that you're going to be surrounded by just being here. So technically, no, but I would say by childhood and by experiences, I have a lot of shared experiences with the Hispanic culture for sure.
Amazing, amazing. Well, and you know, it's true. No matter who you are, if you grow up in the South, especially in the border states, you can't help
Or
but
like
be exposed to
Miami.
or,
Yeah.
or yeah, yeah. But there are people that I'm sure have gone out of their way to not be influenced by it. Where it's like, well,
No.
they're in America, they should speak English, even though of course, America does not have an official language, and of course, this was all Mexico type of a thing. We could go on, I'm sure, for hours talking about that. But other
Yeah.
people, so I think it takes a special person, people like you, to really uh, not be afraid to experience the culture and learn from the culture and then share it, because I mean, you're honestly,
Mhm.
and I think I've seen this in some of your comments, and I'd be one to say it, like, honestly, you're doing more for our people than we do, so
Yeah,
thank you
and I
for that.
mean, yeah, well, I don't want to claim either being the forefront of the Hispanic movement, but it's definitely an interesting it's an interesting water to tread because I want to show my passion, my respect, my interest while not claiming to necessarily be a direct part of it, if that makes sense. So, like I surround myself every day with people who are Hispanic, people who I consider close to be my family almost are Hispanic, but I didn't grow up in that culture. So I want to share it in a way that's respectful, but not stealing or pretending like it's mine or speaking for other people. That obviously I want other people to share their own stories. And another reason that also really like what I do is that I find that a lot of Hispanic people here in the US, especially my age group, like my generation, didn't really learn or didn't use Spanish in the household growing up. And that's really sad to me because obviously it's such a beautiful culture and such a beautiful language. And obviously understandable. There's so many reasons why somebody's family might choose to speak English in the home, but I hope that if there's at least one person that I can like reconnect with that side of themselves or get them back into trying to learn Spanish, that's kind of like for me the goal, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely an interesting territory to be in.
Well, thank you. On behalf of all Latinos, we do nominate you to be the spokesperson for all Latinos worldwide. So congratulations.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have you, and if you don't want to talk about this, of course we don't have to. Have you had maybe negative experiences? And social media, there's trolls everywhere, but
Oh
maybe
my
in
goodness.
person, or something that's been horrible, where maybe you're accused of, I don't know, cultural appropriation or.
Yeah, I get it every once in a while, the culture vulture comments and what is this gringuita doing talking about? But like I said, I try and be very respectful. I never claim to be a part in terms of like born into the culture or, fake. I never lie, I'm not Hispanic. That, not born in a Latin American country, don't have parents from there. But um, honestly, no. I would say the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, and that's kind of what I focus on. I mean, being on social media, it doesn't matter if you talk about literally like school or the most controversial topic ever, like someone's gonna find a reason to be mad about it. So you just have to be okay with that and keep doing what you care about. And that's kind of what, if someone's terrible, I just block them or respond something funny. But no, I mean, on social media, it's been overwhelmingly positive, and that's why I like to keep it pretty uncontroversial and pretty lighthearted and educational and just fun. So yeah, I wouldn't say I've had too many terrible experiences online so far.
Wonderful, wonderful, because obviously you would not deserve it. And I'll be honest, I kind of went through some of your comments and hoping to find something horrible and bad, because that's what I
Yeah.
thrive on. And it's all like that's overwhelmingly positive. And it is people, I think, many, Mexican Americans or Latin Americans, just giving you your flowers and your praises, going, "What an amazing job you're doing." And I personally, I want to thank you, because I think it must have been your channel, you, that turned me on to Interlingua, which
Oh
is,
my
if you want to
God, that
explain
blew
a
my
little bit what
mind.
Interlingua is, it blew my mind.
Yeah. So how that started is, I mean, I'm a super language nerd. Like I have my degree in the Spanish language. I dedicated way too much time to this topic. So I'm trying to learn Portuguese right now. learn no Spanish. And I made a video talking about how, as a Spanish speaker, it's really weird because sometimes I'll hear somebody speaking Portuguese or Italian or even read French, and I'm like, this kind of makes sense. I can kind of catch what they're talking about. And I thought that was really weird because English doesn't really have like another language like that. So I talked about it in a video, and everyone was commenting, like, check out Interlingua. And I was like, what is that? So I looked it up on TikTok and I found this guy. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. It starts with an O, but he is like the spokesperson for Interlingua, and all of his videos are in this really super random like language. And it's a combination of all of the Romance languages. So Romanian, Spanish, French, Italian. It's if you speak any of them fluently, you can basically understand this middle language between them all. So it's not a very old language. It was made in the 1950s, I want to say. But yeah, when I discovered that, I was like, what the heck is my brain doing right now? Like, this is so weird.
Because you understand what's being said, but you're like, that's not how you say this word. It's not Spanish.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Italian. It's like I for a while there I was kind of messing around with it and just making it up. But I'm like, oh, I see. Like I totally understand what this guy is saying, and I
Yeah.
heard maybe a French word, an Italian word. Now the language that did baffle me once, because when you hear, and you probably know these, but like when you hear Portuguese, it's like Italian, it's like Spanish with an Italian accent, or something
Yeah, I
like
feel like Portuguese sounds like a Russian person trying to speak Spanish. Like it's super it's like a trip. It's like a fever dream. Like when I listen to people speak Portuguese, I'm like, I think I know what you're saying, but I don't know how to respond to you. But yeah,
100%. I've been studying Portuguese on Duolingo, and
yeah,
and then we should promote the company that you promote for language learning. But I've been studying, and it's like, oh, this is going to be easy, and then you're like, no, it's not. But I can understand. I'll watch travel videos in Portuguese, and I can understand it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no,
yeah.
I understand what's going on. Just bom dia, or I don't know how
Bom
they.
dia, coração. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's very very interesting. But the language that tripped me up, and then I finally figured it out, was Romanian, forgetting that it's part of the Romance language,
Romance
even though it's called
languages. It's the often forgotten
Romanian.
one. Yeah,
So because I remember listening to that, I'm like, I go, well, it's not Spanish. I go, it doesn't sound like Portuguese. Italian. I'm like, it's not Italian. No sono italiano. I'm like, okay. And then finally, and I thought that one sounded a little bit Russian, and they're like, no, it sounds nothing like Russian. I'm like, well, to me, because I studied a little bit of Russian, I'm like, it sounded like Russian and Spanish mixed, and
yeah,
Romanian. I don't know.
yeah. Always forgotten.
Always forgotten it, but it's one of the, what are there, 7 Romance languages? What's that?
Let's see. Italian, French, Spanish, Romanian, Portuguese. I don't know if I'm missing any.
We're missing 2.
Latin, but Latin is not really a thing anymore. So
No.
I think just those ones.
Catalan.
Ah, yeah.
I think that might be it. And Puerto Rican. I'm just kidding. You've been to Cuba. Speaking of Puerto Rico, that's like Cuba, right? No, I'm kidding. Sorry,
Not
Puerto
at
Rico.
all.
Sorry, Puerto Rican. Sorry, Boricuas. I'm from Chicago, so I have a very special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Chicago's almost like 50-50 Mexican and Puerto Rican. So I miss my arroz con gandules and bacalao
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that wonderful Puerto Rican food. But you've been to Cuba. Did you? I think I can talk about this now. I snuck into the country back in the 1900s. The last time I went was totally legal, 2016, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
2017, March. What was your process for going to Cuba? And if you did sneak in, you don't have to tell me about it now until statute of limitations is over.
Did not sneak in. I did have to get a visa though to go, which was weird. It was assisting the local community or something like that, like the local economy visa. It's like a loophole for tourists.
Well, did you?
I went when
What
it
year
was
did you go?
legal. I went in 2019, I want to say it was.
But
So
you
the
got the visa
embargo had
right at the
been.
airport, I'm guessing. You just fill out a
No, you
thing
had to
that
get it
says,
beforehand. It was like a visa you had to buy, but there's no technical tourist visa to go to Cuba. So it was
correct.
like you had to have a sort of byway to go. and it was through I think it was assisting the local economy or something. And basically, I just had to agree to not shop at anywhere owned by the government, which I did not do. So I'm clean. But yeah, so it's actually super interesting. Actually, that is the trip that has like most impacted me ever, and surprisingly enough. Um, but yeah, I did not shop at anywhere owned by the government, just local
Well,
people.
honestly, it's not that hard to do because I remember walking into a pharmacy. This must have been back in the 90s. Walking into a pharmacy and there being like one bottle on the shelf.
Yeah,
And I think when we went in 2017, you have actually no reason to shop that's government owned because they don't have anything. The people have whatever
yeah,
you need, the people have, and then obviously that's who you want to give your money to. So for those that are
yeah,
listening, we're talking about going to Cuba and the requirements because it is illegal to go to Cuba as a tourist, as for Americans. We are not allowed to go to Cuba as tourists, but there are something like 7 or 8 different reasons, whether it's to help the people, religious, uh, um, journalism, there's like 4 other ones, but you can't put tourism because then you won't be allowed
yeah,
in. And it used to be, well, back in the day, you had to apply. That's why I just snuck in. I went from Cancun, 45-minute
yeah.
flight.
That's what a lot of people do.
So,
Sneaky.
but that was back in the day. Now that it's legal and easy, the problem is, and I don't know how you address this, but our credit cards don't work there. So a lot of people
Mm.
don't like to go to Cuba because you have to bring cash. And, I guess people are uncomfortable walking around with 2 or 3 grand but it's a very safe country.
Yeah, that was also a thing. It was super safe. I just came. I It's weird. They have two currencies there, like one for tourists and one for the local community, which was also really strange. But yeah, I think I brought like cash and then transferred it at the airport and then transferred it back. But yeah, I mean, when I went, I also brought a bunch of like toiletries and soap and shampoo and stuff to give to people because that's really hard to get there. So, I mean, at least at the time that I was there, I don't know how it is now. So I went and I just gave all my stuff out to everybody. So yeah, it was a really, really, really amazing experience. So like one of the coolest countries I've ever been to for sure.
Amazing, amazing. And the currencies that you're talking about, one's called a cup and one's called a cup,
Yeah.
CUC and the CUP. And one's
Mhm.
only to be used by the Cuban people, and the other one is based on the dollar, so it's supposed to be 1 to 1. But you take
Yeah.
such a massive hit when you trade your dollars. So I would suggest for people that are going, trade your dollars into euros at your bank and
Euros.
then
That's what I
trade it
did.
into Cuban pesos because they'll hit you with an extra 10% just because you're trading dollars because you know what? F you, America is kind of what they're saying, but maybe rightly so. We don't discuss
Yeah.
politics here, but that's I think that's one of the things. How are you doing on time? Are we still okay? Because I have a few questions that
Good
I
to
wanted
go.
to. Wonderful, wonderful. Um, so, what else? We'll probably just cut this little part out, but uh, you already told me about your wireless microphone, which misunderstood song lyrics.
Oh, yes, that was a fun video I did. Again, all of my friends, except for a couple here, a lot of them are from Chile, and they were telling me about how, and some of my Spanish friends were telling me this too, that when they sing songs that are in English, they like change the lyrics to Spanish. And I was like, what do you mean? And we were like singing these songs, and they were like, Lucho sabe inglés instead of lose yourself in this. And I was like, wait, what did you just say? And they're like, Lucho sabe inglés. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? So I went down this rabbit hole with them of them telling me all these different songs that are not English to them. And yeah, that was really funny to me too when I discovered that.
So folks, definitely go over and check out Maddie's Instagram, but also her TikTok, where most of her content is. It's just whether you speak Spanish or not, or if you're learning Spanish, I think it's a wonderful and a great way because Maddie has a background in teaching Spanish. I believe it was to kids, but teaching is teaching, and I think so if go and check out her content. It's also very entertaining because you see the differences in the Spanish language. Because the other thing were words. What are they called? Family words? Family
False friends or
false
false
friends.
cognates is like the fancy word.
False friends or false cognates. You say, okay.
Hmm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I find that also very interesting. And I've
Yes.
got a couple of stories about that, misunderstood words and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, and definitely in Spanish. Even if you're speaking correct Spanish, you might say the complete wrong thing in another country if you're speaking a different dialect. But yeah, so I actually noticed this a lot more when I saw more people around me learning Spanish that were like, wait, why does this word mean this and not this? Like fábrica means factory, not fabric, or I don't know. There's a lot of them, but one of the ones that people say a lot that I remembered from Spanish classes saying estoy embarazada means literally I'm pregnant, but people think it means I'm embarrassed. So I would have people in my class, like in high school, be like, sí, estoy muy embarazada. And the teacher would be like, what? So that's another important one to watch out for when you're learning any language, honestly, because there are so many of them.
It's so true. And if you guys want to do a deeper dive, check out your TikTok on that. It's amazing. The other one, and I love the way you wrapped it up. I think you'll be a great improviser because you wrapped it right up, tied it up nicely. Now the other, so when I was dating a girl. This was probably back in high school, or I forget when it was, but maybe soon afterwards. And she, she asked me, and in all seriousness, she goes, "Do Mexicans eat mole?" I go, "Mole." I go. You know what? In some parts of Latin America, they will eat like
Like
rodents.
cuy.
Like, what
Hmm.
is it?
It's called cuy.
Gui.
It's
Yes,
like the little, what are they called?
like
Guinea
a
pigs?
groundhog or
The guinea pigs.
a guinea pig. That's it. I go in some Latin American countries. She goes, because I just had it. I'm like, you had mole? She goes, I did. She goes, I had mole. She goes, it was delicious. I go, what did it look like? And she starts describing it. I go, do you mean mole? She goes, yes.
Yeah, like when people say tortillas, same thing.
Tortillas. Yeah, so she didn't pronounce that. And then I had another girl tell me she was mad at me, obviously, and she goes, galleta. And I go, what? I go, galleta. She goes, galleta. I go, you're gonna give me a cookie? I go, I thought you're mad at me. She goes, I'm telling you to shut up. I go, oh,
It's
galleta.
gallete, not galleta.
Not galleta.
That's funny.
So, uh,
I
but of
had,
course, which is the big one?
oh my gosh. I was gonna say, I had one happen to me. This is deep in my TikTok. I don't know if you know this story, but very embarrassing. When I first moved to Spain the first time, I spoke decently good Spanish, but I was still a little bit unconfident in myself, I would say, is the difference from now. And I remember that I had gone to go get myself an ice cream. And in Spanish, I could not remember what the word was for cone. And so I went up to the lady and I was thinking, cone, what would the word be for cone? And so I went up and I said, Hola, ¿me puedes dar un coño pequeño? Instead of cono, coño, which in, I don't know if in Mexican Spanish what that means, but in Spain Spanish, that means a woman's body part. So the woman proceeded to look at me with a vision of horror and was like, perdón, ¿cómo que dijiste? And I was like, coño pequeño. And she's like, oh my God, that is not what you think it means. And I got my ice cream, and then I realized after like what I had said, and I was like, I literally am gonna deport myself from this country right now because I do not deserve to be here anymore. Like, so embarrassed, literally. I'll never forget that. So embarrassing.
Well, that's the excuse I'm going to use when I go ask for a little coño. I'm like, oh,
I know.
no, coño. Uh,
Ice
uh,
cream, ice cream.
yeah. Um, yes, yeah. Oh my God. That brought back the memory, and I know that you have a very popular one on this, and again, you tie it up nicely. Um, when I went to Mexico, and I went with 7 young ladies, and again, back in the 1900s, and it was because they needed a translator, basically. And I was like, we're going for a week, 7 girls, 7 days. I'm like, this is gonna
Sweet.
be sweet. That's a different story.
Ooh.
Hey, coño, ¿qué
Sorry.
pasó?
Keep going. I know. Keep going. I was so excited about your
So,
story.
and also, of course, I was like, I'm an expert at not only translating for you ladies. I was like selling myself. you're going to get taken with the currency, the exchange rate. You're going to get taken. So I just remember going, and it was the year where it went. They had three currencies in Mexico. They had the old peso, the new peso, and the
Oh my
dollar.
god.
So I was so confused. I'm sure they got ripped off, but they thought everything was great. But we were sitting at a restaurant, and the girl looks up at the waiter, who was very cute Latino Mexican guy, and she goes, "Cuántos años tienes?" And the guy blushes, and I go, "I think he
Oh
just
my
has
god.
one." And she was like, "What? He's got
Oh
one."
my
I'm like,
god.
I go, "You mean años?" She goes, "What's the difference?" I go, "Well, one's your butthole, and the other one's is how many years do you have?"
Oh my god. That is embarrassing. That would have happened to me that same year I asked for coño pequeño. So feel for that girl.
So is it cono or
It's
see?
gono.
I
There's
knew it
another
was
there's another word for it that I'm not remembering, but one of the word is gono without the ng.
well,
Be sure you
yes,
really pronounce it well.
cono, which I don't even know if that's right. And I should know because my first business was a gourmet ice cream and coffee shop,
Oh my
albeit it was
gosh.
in a very Swedish town of Geneva, Illinois. But I should have found out how to say cone in Spanish. I do know. Wait, is this P in sign language? I don't
P.
know. P. So my nickname was, which looks vulgar, but we had a little deaf customer who I knew him since he was a baby, and we come in and he'd go like, "Paul, ice cream man, Paul." And then, of course, when I got into the cigar business, I'm like, Paul. So it's always been this vulgar mouth thing with
Paul. That's
Paul. What's
cool.
up, Paul P? I love that you
Deaf
also know sign
culture.
language. It's another
Yeah,
wonderful
I,
language.
I that's another one I know. I know a little bit. I sign a little bit. My name sign because back in high school I used to know a little bit of sign language because my school offered. I had a lot of friends who knew it and they taught me and I used to be really good and now I've lost it all basically. But in deaf culture, um, they have these things called name signs. So only a deaf person can give it to you. It's like a special nickname. And you can't really like ask for it. They just kind of like decide, hey, this is something about you. Here's your name sign. And my name sign, so this is M, is a smile with M's because when I don't know like what's going on, I just like smile. And so I went to a deaf event with some friends to try and sign with people, and the whole time I was just like, I don't know what's going on. And so they were like, your name is Maddie with like smile with M's. So maybe that's yours.
No, it is, and it was given to me by this
By deaf,
baby
that's your deaf name.
who I watched grow up. But now it actually means so much more because I didn't realize that you couldn't just give yourself a name.
Yeah, no,
So I
a
gave
deaf
myself
person
the
gives it to
cigar,
you.
but the ice cream was the kid. You'd walk in like,
Yeah.
oh,
Hmm.
like, all right, don't let people see you doing that. Like, but thank you.
Yeah, it might take it the wrong way.
You might take it the wrong coño, but coño in Cuba, no, in where it just means like damn. Like my Puerto
And
Rican friends
also,
go,
yeah, Cuba,
coño,
Spain too.
coño,
Like
carajo.
they'll say "ay coño," like it's kind of like fuck. I don't know if I'm allowed to say bad words here, but yeah, that's what that means there. And I think in Cuba, it's also like damn, like "ay coño," like just like darn it.
Darn it. There are some harsh. I mean, what did the Spaniards say? Me cago en tus.
Me cago en tus muertos. Me
En tu.
cago en la leche. Me cago en tu madre. Me cago en like in anything.
Okay, 'cause I heard me cago en la leche, me cago en la leche, me cago en tu. That means I crap on your dead ancestors. I
Yes,
mean,
that's a
or
pretty
I
bad
poop
one
in the
there.
milk, or
They're
I poop
creative
in your
though.
mom. Like it's.
Poop in the milk. You can
What
get the
was
vision
and
of
then
where that one comes from. Hmm?
hostia, hostia.
Hostia. That's literally
Hostia.
means like the little bread that you eat in mass, but it's like a bad word because it's talking about mass in vain. So they have this other one that they say if you're trying to be like PC, they'll say ostras instead of hostia.
Ostras. What does ostras
Ostras.
means? Does it means what does
It's
ostras
it's
mean?
like saying darn instead of damn. It's just like another way to say it.
I saw that TikTok video as well, which is also very entertaining. How
Yeah.
the kids and you got this from the kids that you taught?
Yeah, so I used to teach English to little babies and well, to the whole school actually. The kids were like from ages probably 4 or 5 to 19 and 20, so every age. And especially my little kids, because they didn't want to get in trouble, they would like come up with other words to say instead of the bad word. So instead of saying joder, they say like jolín, jolín, jope, or just jo. And so my kids would just be like, I don't understand, like, oh, and I'm like, what are you saying? Like, you're just like yelling sounds right now. Like, relax. But yeah, or like miércoles instead of mierda. Like they have a bunch of them that they do. But yeah, super cute
Yeah.
when it's a small child.
But probably an adult would never do that because these Spaniards are just.
Sometimes it depends. Yeah, if you're trying to be like, PC, I guess you might do it.
If you're in church, you probably want to just say "ho."
Probably nothing.
You want to say "oyster"? Not host. I didn't
Yeah.
say it. Amazing, amazing. Uh, Tell us where people can find you on social media, or where you'd like people to come and find you.
Yeah, so majority of my presence, I'll be honest, is on TikTok. I'm trying to post a little bit more on my Instagram now, and hopefully gonna post over some of my stuff on YouTube as well. But my main is TikTok. My handle's the same across all of my channels, so it's just jmatsj123 as you see here.
Wonderful, folks. And if you're here live with us on Fireside, just click the little fortune cookie and you can actually go directly. Please give JMads J123. I just did your name in sign language. I think that's it. My name is Paul. So vulgar, so vulgar. Please give her a follow. And if you want to follow me, I'm at paulvato.com. All of my social media is there. And more importantly, if you could head on over to Spotify and just give us a follow there. And if you have time, Apple Podcasts, that'd be wonderful. Go over there and give us a follow, but also leave us a nice little review. Unless you don't like the show, then don't tell anyone. And you can also go to paulvatopresents.com. I just posted an amazing blog about Vegas and poker. So that's really all that we're promoting here, but especially my guest, Maddie Jackson, which is such a traditional Latino name, Maddie Jackson.
Yeah, really traditional.
It's so traditional. Thank you so much for taking the time. What do you see in the future? Are you working on any projects, or is there something
My
that
goodness.
we can help you with? Something that you. What's your ask?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I'm a very see where the vibe takes me kind of person. Sometimes that's great. Sometimes I think I should plan a little more. Just keep sharing, honestly. Just, if you are interested in language learning, follow me on TikTok. I don't know what kind of projects I might get into. Maybe some a little bit more extensive language learning stuff, classes and stuff like that. But that's all in the brain right now. But yeah, overall, just follow me. And if you like my content, interact with it. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them in my comments. I'll do my best to read them and respond where I can, as long as they're nice. And yeah, other than that, I don't know what my exact plan is, but just kind of see where the vibe takes me. I will say, for now.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love it. I had so many other questions and things, but I don't want to take up all of your time. But I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And let's go to Seville. I can't wait. I want to
Yeah,
do it.
I'll meet you there.
Meet me in Seville. That's the name of our show. Also, folks, my book is on Amazon. Kama Sucia, it's called. So please pick up your copy. It's on Amazon. If you just go to vato.tv, it'll take you right to it. Even if you don't pick up a copy, leave me a review. And, please don't be honest. Just be nice and pick up a copy. Do you have a heart message for the world, people that are listening? I'd like to ask this, if you do, if not, no worries.
Find something that you love and make that as much a part of your life as you can would be my first one. And my second one is the world is a better place when we connect cultures and when we understand each other more. So, in any way that you can connect with somebody who's different than you or find out things about any culture of the world or travel or however you can, just do it because it makes you such a better person and it makes us, more understanding and I'd say less hateful people overall. So, I guess those would be my two.
Beautiful, beautiful words. Maddie, thank you. I sincerely thank you so much for being a guest on Paul Vato Presents. And before we go, oh my goodness, we had 8 messages that I didn't see. Let's see. Oh, it was just people joining. I don't think anyone actually asked a question. But Maddie, once again, thank you. Folks, make sure that we follow Maddie on her social media. You follow me at paulvato.com. And Maddie, I would love to do this again and reconnect and catch up sometime, especially. Oh, by the way, I think your art is beautiful. We didn't even get a chance to talk about your art.
Oh, thank you. Here's one right here behind me. But thank you.
Oh, and are these for sale? Where can people buy them?
Through my Instagram. If you have any ones that you see you want to buy, or you have any, commissions, I, don't typically do too many commissions because I'm a very busy person. But when I can, if you have any that you like, through my Instagram, I kind of post a combo now of a little bit of everything. But if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see more of my work there.
Amazing. I loved. Do you still have the Virgen de Guadalupe, or is that?
I think I do. I have a couple here next to me, but I can look for it. I might have it.
If you do, maybe let me know. Reach out, because I know that I know a Tejana lady in South Elgin, Illinois, who would love to have it. That's my mom. So maybe
Cool.
I'll pick it
Awesome.
up for her. But all right, folks, thank you so much for all of you that joined us live here on Fireside. For those of you that are listening in the podcast, thank you so much. Please make sure that you follow us across all the podcast platforms. And Maddie, my special guest, thank you so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Great to talk.
Adios. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. ¿Qué más? ¿Cómo se dice?
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Okay, órale. Bye. Let me end the show. I think you're still here, but let me.
I am.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It was fun.
Okay, yeah, we'll just cut this out. All right. Did you have any questions or any concerns? But it was all good, right?
All good. Easy
It
peasy.
didn't go easy peasy. Didn't go off the rails.
I can talk for ages. Let me tell you, I do like 10 client calls a day. So for me, this is just another call, but more fun.
Amazing. Well, Maddie, thank you so much. I'm going to end the show, and if you want to reconnect on Instagram, we can do that. But otherwise, yeah.